Is there any PC build budget more iconic than the $1,000 gaming PC build? That's what people are trying to hit all the time. I think it's actually quite doable in 2025, but they often fall apart. This is, of course, Boost My Build, a series where we take your PC build list, we tear them up, put them back together, and massively increase your performance. We're going to do this $1,000 build. We have a $2,400 mini ITX build that we'll get to in just a second. But if you want to submit for this series, here's how you do it. We post on our channel every month to submit for Boost My Build. Let's start with Cushman. They're looking for a $1,000 budget build. They are in the United States. It's only for the PC. We don't need a monitor for this, and they're looking for 1440p gaming. They say, I need a new PC for raiding in World of Warcraft. Oh boy, if you know anything about me, if you followed the channel for a while, you know I played World of Warcraft for like 15 years, from Wrath of the Lich King all the way through kind of the middle of Dragonflight, basically. They're saying WoW seems to be more CPU intensive game. I knew they were going to say this. So that's where I focused my build and I put it together. I already see big problems here. This build's over budget. Would love your thoughts on how I can get that under the $1,000 mark. Oh, and you're over budget? Oh my goodness. Let's see what you got. This video is sponsored by Micro Center, opening their 30th store later this year in Phoenix, Arizona. It's Micro Center's clearance sale event with great deals on overstock items like the G-Skill GM2 ATX PC case with 6 included ARGB fans for just $49.99. Or protect your PC with this CyberPower EMI filtering UPS backup, also just $49.99. Or grab this Micro Center exclusive combo with a Ryzen 7600X3D, ASUS TUF B650E motherboard, and 32 gigs of 6,000 speed DDR5 for just $430. Check out these deals and more at your local Micro Center using the links in the video description. I should have known when you said CPU intensive and you said $1,000, it was a recipe for disaster. Now, go ahead. Pause the video right now. If you can identify what's wrong with this build, I know a number of you out there can. Leave it down in the comments. I'll wait. Did you guess? Yes, that's right. Our CPU-GPU combo is absolutely insanely out of balance, basically. Let's jump into the CPU. We went with the Ryzen 7800X3D. Great CPU for gaming if you have a lot more money. However, we don't. We got $1,000. In fact, you finished off at $1,136. You're $136 already over your budget. This is the number one area that I would take a look at. You're not going to get a lot more FPS out of your CPU at this GPU level. Yes, I know the Intel Arc B580. Yeah, it's got a little bit CPU overhead, whatever. This is the first thing that I would target to go. Talking about that GPU, yeah, you went with the Intel Arc B580. This is a great graphics card, but not for this budget level. Remember, when you're building a gaming PC, you want to spend about half, if you can, of your budget on the graphics card. Sometimes it's a little less, depending on the CPU platform here. $249 is a really good price for this. We used this in our $675 1440p gaming build that we did at the beginning of September. Check out that video link down in the video description if you want a cheaper build that uses this GPU and does it right. But I would not do this for a $1,000 build. It's just outclassed. I do like most of the rest of the build here. The Thermalright Pure Assassin, this is absolutely the right cooler for the 7800X3D. Honestly, it would be fine even if we went with a 9600X or a lesser CPU like that. It would be kind of overkill, but again, you're only spending like an extra $15. I like this. The ASRock B850M Pro RS Wi-Fi, it's a good motherboard for $150. People will want to know, what about an X3D CPU with ASRock motherboards? The 9000 X3D CPUs, I'm no longer recommending with ASRock motherboards. I just don't feel confident they've solved all the problems, but we have no evidence there's ever been a problem with the 7800 X3D and ASRock motherboards that I know of. I love the RAM DDR5 6000 CL30. I like this Patriot Viper Venom kit as well. It is a good value out there. If you're looking for good value and you don't want RGB, there's an RGB, I think it's like $1 more basically. Either way, it's great value. I haven't heard of this drive, Patriot Viper Venom VP 4300 Lite 2. One area we could cut, thinking about like, what do we absolutely need now in our $1,000 build? What could we add in the future? We could do 1 terabyte here, because you can always add another M.2 on these motherboards. They have like 2 and 3 M.2 slots often. We could do this for like $50. It could be $50. We throw it a graphics card, which is something you can't upgrade later. So just keep that in mind. I like the Okino Cypress 3 micro ATX case. Comes with 4 included ARGB fans to it. It's a pretty good case. It's a little tight on some of the larger GPUs, but again, this is a budget case and this is a pretty good budget build to do it with. Now, some people will say, Jason, 850 watts, crazy for this PC build. It is. I don't know that we need to spend this much, but the problem is the PSU market is kind of crazy right now. Some of the lower cost, like 750 watt and 650 watt units, seem to be completely out of stock in anything like B or A tier. This has become the best value unit right now, so I don't think this is that big an error. I would look to save a little bit of money here. here if we could. Yeah, all told, $1,136.75. Yikes. And I think we can massively up the performance of it. I think you're going to be surprised what you can get for a $1,000 PC build. I call this the $1,000 gaming PC that everybody should build in 2025 for 1440p gaming, because honestly, if you got $1,000, this is a phenomenal build. You could do it a little bit cheaper with a cheaper CPU platform out there, but we're concerned about CPU intensive titles, so we did up the CPU platform a little bit. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but let's go through what else. The GPU. We're going to ditch that Arc B580. Great, more budget tier GPU for something a little faster, which is the RX 9060 XT 16GB version. Now, I went with the Sapphire Pulse one at $379. I have seen the Power Color Reaper come down to like, I think $359. It's $20 cheaper. So if you want to go that direction, and it's a fine card, by the way, if you want to go that direction, said you certainly can. The NVIDIA alternative here that you're going to run into is the RTX 5060 Ti 16GB, which you can pick up for about $50 more. Now, obviously, we don't have $50 in the budget, but if you wanted to spend a little bit more, and if you wanted to cut some other things, which I can mention in a second, you could pick this up instead. It's basically going to come down to how much do you want to spend for DLSS 4, because, spoiler alert, let's look at the performance here. In fact, how much FPS do you get for $1,000 on this? The 9060 XT 16GB, it's basically neck and neck with the 5060 Ti 16GB. Obviously, games that favor NVIDIA, it's going to do better. While games that favor AMD Radeon, the AMD Radeon GPU is going to do a little bit better. This is TechSpot's RX 9060 XT 16GB review. Now, I have seen some more recent benchmarks than this. It does look like maybe the 5060 Ti has picked up a little bit more performance. Maybe it's driver optimizations, maybe it's game optimizations. I don't really know, but it's only a couple of percent. They're relatively neck and neck, and I don't think most gamers will be able to tell the difference between the two. Now, you're like, okay, Jason, but where's my Arc B580? It's down there at the bottom, and it's still good, especially with upscaling. You would easily hit 60 average FPS, and in a game like WoW, which is a little easier to run graphically, I think you do pretty well with it. But, I mean, what is that? That's like 30% performance difference. I'd probably go with that. For the CPU, I went with the Ryzen 7600X. It's just the cheaper of the two. If the 9600X goes on sale, grab that instead. At this GPU level, doesn't really matter. We could go with like an i5 12400 or 14400, by the way, and save a little bit of money, but I know you wanted more CPU horsepower. For gaming, that's the 7600X. Not only that, but eventually you will be able to put an X3D CPU on this. It's really hard not to go with this CPU right now. And with Prime Days coming up, I'm going to guess we're going to see some pretty big discounts. For the cooler, I hate to be a broken record here. I try and pick a different one every time, but I love the id Cooling SE214XT. There's a new one called the Blaze 4. They're all basically the same. If you like Thermalrights instead, go ahead and grab a Thermalright cooler, the Assassin X120. Another fantastic cooler. You can get it with ARGB, without ARGB. You can get them in white, you can get black, pretty much anything you want, and they really start around $15. For the motherboard, I went with the ASRock B850M-X. I decided to shave a little bit off. You could decide to spend a little bit more. You got another $15 in the budget. You could pump this up to a $140 motherboard. You can even go with the board that you originally picked. I like this one because it's a nice balance of price and performance. It's only $120. It comes with the Wi-Fi. It comes with two M.2 slots to it. The rear panel connectivity is fine. But again, you could certainly go with the board you had instead. I just like this one because I wanted to make sure I hit under that $1,000 mark. We went ahead and stuck it out with your RAM, $85 for DDR5 6000 CL30. Keep buying this kit. So far, it's done really well. For the drive, I just switched it up here with a different 2TB NVMe SSD drive. I went with the Clevcraft C910 because it's on sale right now. Honestly, that's it. It's on sale right now. If your drive was cheaper, I'd go with that one. There's not enough difference for gamers between like budget drives basically to want to spend any additional money. This is the last place we should be looking to dump extra money in terms of speed. Storage is another thing. So we could, of course, get the 1TB here. You could save about $40 if we needed it somewhere else in the build. That's one of the first places I would look to cut if I did. And finally, we're just going to go with the Apevia Prestige 600 watt. So this is a fine PSU for what we're looking to do. It's basically good enough. Good enough. That's all we need. It's C tier rated on the SPL PSU tier list. It's $52. There's not really much more to know about that. I just decided it just doesn't make sense to spend another $40 on our PSU when we're so tight on our budget, and this is gonna serve us fine. All told, $984.92. We're gonna get an amazingly performative 1440p gaming PC with 30% more FPS performance than you were looking at getting. We're also going to get a strong enough gaming CPU. Honestly, one of the best mid-range gaming CPUs in 2025, the 7600X. We're going to right-size everything else, the cooler, and we're going to stick with your larger storage. We're going to stick with a lot of the other parts that you had. We're just going to up the volume on the FPS. So I hope you feel like your build is boosted. All right, we got Vincent. Vincent's looking for a brand new build for $2,400 in the US for the PC only, by the way. We don't need a gaming monitor with it. It says, hi, built in a 2020 rig with a Ryzen 5 3600 and an RTX 2070 Super for 1080p gaming back then. That's actually was a pretty good build back then. I feel the age on the system and looking to upgrade to a 1440p setup. Already purchased a monitor. They just need help on the components. Most FPS for the budget is what they're looking for. They play Helldivers 2, KCD 2, Cyberpunk 2077, No Man's Sky, Warhammer 2. Also, I'm a video editor and a motion designer. I can feel all the layers going on here. Wanted a mini ITX setup. Well, first of all, I'm just going to tell you, if you want a mini ITX setup, that's not the most bang for your buck. Mini ITX costs more. We just did our best mini ITX build guide 2025. I'll leave it linked down in the video description. Check that out for a lot of tips and tricks, actually how to get it a little bit cheaper out there. They're also open to saving money on these parts. Get the 1440p experience for cheaper is great. Let's see what you got. This one's tough just because we only finished out at just under $2,200, $2,193.74. So you basically have more money in your budget. I'm kind of wondering why we didn't spend it here. And I think we're having some challenges here between the dual purposes. On the one hand, you want to do like high-end gaming. On the other hand, you want to do like video editing and other production. And generally, those two do go together really, really nicely, except when it comes to the amount of storage that you need for your build, which can often sabotage you. So I don't know where else to start. I'm going to start with the GPU because I was a little surprised that for $2,193 or for $2,400 budget, we got an RTX 5070 Ti 16GB. Great graphics card. I'm not dissing the graphics card at all. This is a good one, by the way, if you want to do a small form factor build. But the RTX 5080 is now MSRP for $999. In fact, right now you can still get it with the Borderlands 4 game bundle. I think that's like through the 22nd. You just check me out on that. So that's what I would have done here. And I'm just kind of surprised that we didn't go in that direction because it seems like maybe we even had the budget for it. For the CPU, you went with the 7700X. I'm kind of mixed on the 7700X here. I don't think more cores is necessarily helpful. Would a 7800X3D be more helpful? I'm like having to chew through that because it's going to be slower than the 7700X in those multi-threaded production workloads, but in gaming, it's going to be significantly faster. So, and it's going to be another $100. So maybe this is the right pick. For the cooler, the Thermalright Peerless Assassin, 35 bucks, 2 thumbs up, great cooler, and will fit in a lot of micro ATX and mini ATX PC cases. Speaking of that PC case, you went with one of those that we recommended in our best ITX build guide for 2025. That is the Johnsbow Johns Plus Z20. This is a great case. It also comes in a fully mesh version as well if you want for like another $10, and it comes in a variety of different colors as well. It's a great case. It will fit those larger CPU coolers that you're looking for. So it is great for production builds and great for gaming builds with bigger GPUs. The ASRock B650i Lightning Wi-Fi Fine motherboard, no problem with it. $189. Yeah, ASRock motherboards have taken a little bit of a price hit because people don't want to put X3D CPUs on them because they've had some issues, and that's why, again, we're not recommending them for Ryzen 9000 X3D CPUs, but something like the 7700X, perfectly adequate with a board like this. We want 64 gigs, DDR5, 6000 CL30, great RAM. Corsair tends to overcharge for their RAM, and that overcharge kind of goes up as you go up in terms of memory size kits. I will say, however, Corsair is one of those folks out there that do supply like very large memory kits, so maybe this is the price premium we need to pay, but I think we could probably save about 40 bucks on this RAM if we went with somebody else. Your storage setup is kind of a question mark. I don't know why we went with the SN7100 4TB. It's $209, which is not a bad price, but it doesn't have DRAM. And I noticed the other drive that you have, also a 4TB, I think it's a Crucial P3 Plus, also doesn't have DRAM. I'm confused. I would like at least one of those drives to have DRAM on it, at least one of them. And listen, you can have one is mostly, hey, that's where my assets sit. So I'm mostly pulling and reading from that. But anytime I'm writing, especially like video editing, I want a DRAM cache on there, especially when I'm doing that final video export. I want somewhere to dump that to. So I'd at least like to see one of these with DRAM. Here's a mistake, and this is probably not obvious. The Thermaltake Tough Power SFX 1000 watt Platinum is F-rated. F-rated, by the way, on the SPL PSU tier list. I don't exactly know why they actually don't have a note in there as to why it's so lowly rated. Thermaltake generally does a pretty good job with their PSUs. Now, obviously, they have their smart lineup, which is trash, but for whatever reason, SFX PSUs have been really hit or miss. So you definitely want to check that list before you just buy something like this. It's basically replace immediately. All told, for $2,193.74, I'm not feeling like we got the most out of this right now. I know we're only looking for 1440p. I would like to see that RTX 5080 out there. I'd like to see our storage be better optimized for our workload productions, especially video editing out there. I think we could just do better, so let's take a shot at it. I call this the revved up small form factor gaming and creator build for $2,400. Let me tell you, this one gave me a lot of fits. I'm still not entirely happy with where we came out, but I think we've covered over or paved over a lot of the potholes that were in this build. And I do think it is going to be a pretty good performer here. I finished out $2,391.23. So basically came right up to the top of your budget at $2,400. And I feel good about it, like I said. Now, there's a couple things I wanted to fix. I want to fix the GPU. I wanted to fix the storage. And I really wanted to try and address the motherboard issue that I didn't really talk about at the beginning. So let's jump into where else the GPU. Of course, I went with the RTX 5080. I went with the Gigabyte WindForce here. It's the same model that you were looking at for the 5070 Ti. It's great for small form factor builds. It's basically a much narrower build. This will fit easily in your case. It's going to give us additional GPU power, and it's at MSRP finally. It's not 4090 power, unfortunately, but it's close enough basically, and it is enough of an increase both in FPS, well, as we'll see in a second, for gaming and for those creator workloads. I just think it makes sense if you're a professional. In terms of how much FPS you get for this build, this is the Tech Power Up Sapphire Nitro 9070 XT review. You can see the 5080 is pretty high up on that list. This is 1440p, 23 game average at higher ultra details. Look at that, 159 average FPS. That's doing really, really well at 1440p. It's going to give you smoking good performance out there. And for those creator workloads, it's definitely going to give you more performance there too. And that's honestly, when I'm doing video editing or anything, the thing that annoys me the most is having to wait for the PC. So anytime I can reduce that and just reduce my stress level, I think it's worth the money. For the rest of the build, I struggled on your CPU choice, but ultimately I decided we just have to leave it alone. You don't have enough money in the budget. I would love to have pumped this up either to a 9950X if we could, or a 9800X 3D. I think either of those CPUs, obviously 9950X, much more expensive. 9900X is maybe another way to look here. But again, you don't have enough money in the budget. I think the 7700X ends up being a decent compromise. The 9700X is still silly priced, but Amazon Prime Day in October, we might see some discounts. So keep an eye on that. Otherwise, this CPU, I think it's going to be good for both gaming and it's going to be good for our creator workloads. It's not great at either, but it's good enough for both. For the cooler, I almost switched you to an AIO cooler. I just decided not to at the end. We just didn't have enough money. Hey, if you're happy with the Thermaltake Peerless Assassin, really no reason to go away from this. It's a great CPU cooler, fits in our PC case. The motherboard is one area I didn't really talk about when we did the build overview, when I listed your build. But the problem with workstation PCs and mini PCs basically is that the smaller motherboards lack like the M.2 support. They lack a lot of rear panel USB connectivity that the bigger ATX motherboards often come with. Now, they don't have to, they could put it on there. They choose not to because they want to sell you the more expensive motherboards. I almost converted this entire build into a regular ATX size PC case just to show you what the difference is, but I decided, look, I know you want the micro ATX or the mini ITX, the small form factor PC build out there. So I went with a similar motherboard that you were looking for. It only has two M.2s on it. It has limited rear panel USB connectivity, but still there's enough high speed connectivity out there. And it's the same price as the B650 you were looking at. So let's go ahead and upgrade it to a PCIe Gen 5 GPU slot. For the RAM, I know you like this particular aesthetic. We went with the Corsair Vengeance kit that you selected. It's a good kit right now, $240, a little steep. little steep out there. We could say probably 30 or 40 bucks. I just couldn't get anything else with it. So I figured let's at least give you the aesthetic you want. But here's a situation I feel really, really good about. I got you two of these Acer Predator GM7000 NVMe SSD drives. These are 4 terabyte drives, and they both have a DRAM cache. Now, they are not the fastest of the drives. You can get the Western Digital SN850X, or you can get the Samsung 990 Pro, basically. Those are better drives in this. Would you see the difference as a creator? You might feel it. Depends on how much file write you do. But this is going to be substantially better, I think, than the drives that you were looking at. So I feel really good about that. And they basically cost the same price as the drives that you were looking at. So again, two of these drives, 2 thumbs up. Now for the PSU, your Johnson Plus Z20 here will take a full-size ATX PSU. So I went with the Montech Century 2. Now double check my math, everybody down there. Let me know in the comments. It seems like this is 140 mil length, so this should fit easily in there. $109. This is A tier, I think it's A- tier rated now on the SPL PSU tier list, but it's significantly better than the F tier one that you were looking at, and it costs a lot less money too. I would snap this up in a heartbeat because yes, this build would require about 900 and some odd, but there's no 900 watt PSUs for whatever reason, so we're gonna go to 1050 watts here instead. Oh, finally, you didn't have any fans in your PC case, so I got you a 5-pack of Arctic P12 Pro PST fans. The great things about these fans is that they will daisy chain, basically. Now, you look like you didn't want any ARGB in there, so I got you the non-RGB ones. These are pretty good fans. We use them all the time. So for $2,400, basically, we got you an incredible gaming and creator PC in that small form factor build that you were looking for. That's right, we upsized your GPU to an RTX 5080, gonna give you more gaming and creator performance. We got you two 4 terabyte NVMe SSDs with actual DRAM caches on them for your professional work out there. We fixed up your motherboard and we replaced the F-Tier PSU so your build won't explode. And by the way, we also got you some fans for the case so you actually get some airflow. So I hope you feel like your build is boosted. What did you think of the boost? Let me know down in the video description. What do you think of the $1,000 boost? What do you think of the $2,400 one? What would you have done differently? Of course, we also have everything linked down there for both of those builds. If you got value out of this video, please give it a like. It makes a huge difference to the channel. And of course, subscribe for more cool PC content. Like, did you check out our best ITX build guide? Check it out right here for the best mini ITX builds, or check out our best September builds right here, including a $675 kind of impossible 1440p gaming PC build. Check them out, and we'll catch you on the next one.